Muscle strength and muscle size don't always go hand in hand. A study from the Journal of Applied Physiology found that muscle growth can occur without significant increases in strength, challenging the old belief that bigger always meant stronger. In fact, researchers have discovered individuals who can increase the muscle size by up to 60% without corresponding improvements in functional strength. So the question arises, do you actually need to be strong to build muscle? Well, in today's video, we're diving deep into the science of muscle development, debunking myths and revealing what truly matters for your fitness journey and, of course, building muscle and baby strength. I'm Lewis. I've been a personal trainer for nearly 10 years, working with over 1,000 clients. And for my online coaching, I help entrepreneurs and the everyday gym grower and the everyday gym goer to look great, feel great, and optimize their health and performance without the confusing misinformation or bro science, although I can't guarantee there won't be some of that here. If this interests you and you would like to find out if you're a good fit, head to the link in the description, although on YouTube, help you do it all for free. When I started my journey at 16 years old in the gym in 2012, I was fueled by a simple desire to build muscle and get strong, as most people do. Like many beginners, I had a rudimentary approach to working out, focusing primarily on lifting as heavy as possible, often at the expense of proper form. I was unaware of the concept of progressive overload and the critical importance of tracking my lifts to ensure consistent progress. But eager to see results, I dedicated myself to lifting weights regularly. However, my method was a little bit flawed, as most people are when they first start training at 16. I was ego lifting. I would often choose weights that were far too heavy for me, sacrificing technique in the pursuit of lifting heavier and heavier. This approach led to a significant issue. While I did gain a little bit of muscle thanks to the newbie gains that come with starting strength training, and my progress was far from optimal though. My improper technique not only put me at risk of injury, but also I wasn't engaging the targeted muscles as effectively as I could have been. My ego lifting stemmed from a lack of understanding, as most people are when they're 16, and at the time I didn't realise the importance of a well-rounded approach to training, including the principles of progressive overload, which emphasises gradual increases in volume, intensity or frequency for continuous improvement, obviously with proper form. The consequence of my initial approach was pretty obvious: insufficient muscle growth and a high risk of injury. I was gaining muscle, as I said, but I knew deep down that my approach could lead to long-term setbacks. My turning point came when I began to educate myself, watching loads of videos online and the science of muscle building and the importance of proper technique. I learned about the principle of progressive overload and started tracking my lifts religiously every week, every session, ensuring that I was not only lifting heavier over time with good form, but as I said, it needed to be doing properly. This shift in approach led to more efficient muscle growth, less risk of injury, and an understanding of what it truly means to train smart. The key tip I learned from this experience is the importance of prioritizing technique and tracking progress over split lifting heavy weights and going in each session and just sort of trying to remember off the top of your head what you did last time. Again, this is pretty fun for most people, but after a certain period of time, you want to make sure that you are making efficient progress. For anyone starting the fitness journey, remember that muscle growth is not just about how much you can lift, but how well you can lift it. You want to embrace the principles of progressive overload, maintain proper technique, and track your progress. This approach will not only make your workouts more effective, but also safeguard yourself against injury, ensuring that your fitness journey is sustainable in the long run, which is what it's all about. With that being said, does strength directly correlate to muscle building? Do you need to be getting stronger to make improvements? Well, let's delve in. To address the intricate relationship between muscle building and increasing strength, it's crucial to delve into the scientific research and practical applications. So first, we need to understand that muscle growth versus strength gains, muscle hypertrophy and strength. A landmark study published in the Journal of Strength and Conditioning Research demonstrated that muscle hypertrophy, aka growth, and strength gains were while related, can be achieved through different training methods. Hypertrophy training typically involves moderate weights, high repetitions, 8 to 12 reps, and shorter rest periods, whereas strength training, especially if you're a powerlifter for example, focuses on heavier weights, lower repetitions in the 1 to 5 rep range, and as well as longer rest periods. Research does indicate that individuals engaging in hypertrophy specific training can see significant muscle size increases within 6 to 12 weeks, while maximum strength gains often require consistent, heavy resistance training over a similar or longer time frame. So what about the role of neuromuscular adaptations? Initial strength gains in the first few weeks of training are largely attributed to neuromuscular adaptations rather than muscle size increases. This essentially means that the body becomes more efficient at recruiting muscles and coordinating movements. Beginners often see rapid improvements in strength without a noticeable change in muscle size, illustrating that the principle that neuromuscular adaptations play a critical role in strength development. So what about volume, intensity, and frequency? A meta-analysis, which essentially is just a large study of other individual studies published in sports medicine, found that training volume, aka total weight lifted, is more closely related to muscle hypertrophy, while intensity, aka the heaviness of the weight, has a stronger correlation with strength gains. For those who are looking to increase muscle size, aka hypertrophy, focusing on a higher volume of work, aka more sets and reps at a moderate intensity, is key. Again, obviously with proper form, engaging the right muscles. Conversely, to maximizing strength, incorporating lower repetitions with a higher weight is more effective. A study comparing bodybuilders, again focusing on hypertrophy, and powerlifters focusing on strength, found that while powerlifters exhibit greater overall strength, bodybuilders had larger muscle cross-sectional areas, underscoring the difference in training focus and outcomes. So you want to incorporate both heavy, low rep training days and moderate high rep days into your routine to achieve a balance between strength and muscle size. So what about program design considerations? For muscle growth, implement a routine with 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 repetitions, 70 to 85% of your 1 rep max. This doesn't mean that you can't do low reps and high reps. That will also be beneficial, but for the most part, it's usually within the 8 to 12 rep range. In focusing on a variety of compound and isolation exercises to target all major muscle groups. And what about for strength gains? So for strength gains, focus on compound movements like squats, deadlifts, and bench presses with 3 to 5 sets of 1 to 5 repetitions at 85 to 95% of your 1 RM, aka 1 rep max, ensuring adequate rest between sets for full recovery. So the conclusion are that the synergy of strength and hypertrophy, while distinct in the mechanisms, muscle hypertrophy and strength gains are complementary aspects of a well-rounded fitness program. By understanding and applying the principles derived from research and practical examples, you can effectively tailor your training to meet your specific goals, whether that's gain muscle or strength, or even a combination of both. The key takeaway is the importance of a diversified training approach, again depending on your goals, that respects the body's adaptive responses to different stimuli, ensuring progressive and sustainable development in both muscle size and strength. Now, that being said, let's go over some practical examples based on your experience. So what about if you're a beginner? Well, establish a foundation in both strength and muscle hypertrophy. Training frequency could be 3 days per week with full body routines. So you want to focus on learning proper form with lighter weights first. Begin with 2 to 3 sets of 8 to 12 reps of hypertrophy and 3 to 5 reps for foundational strength exercises. Concentrate on compound movements to build this strength, like squats, deadlift, bench presses, and overhead presses to engage multiple muscle groups, alongside bodyweight exercises like push-ups and pull-ups. Although again, you really need to make sure that you've got the form correct first before you start improving on the weight and adding weight to the bar. So you want to focus on increasing weight gradually as you become more comfortable with the exercises, aiming to add small increments every 1 to 2 weeks to encourage strength without compromising form. And what about if you're an intermediate gym goer and you've been going for a couple of years? We want to build upon the foundation with increased volume and intensity. Training frequency could be 4 to 5 days per week with split routines, for example being push-pull legs. Incorporate a mix of hypertrophy-based sessions, 3 to 4 sets of 8 to 12 reps, and strength focus sessions, 4 to 6 sets of 3 to 6 reps using 70 to 85% for your 1 rep max for hypertrophy and 85 to 95% of your 1 rep max for the strength side of things. For the exercises, add variation to your compound movements like squats, deadlifts, incline bench presses, but also front squats, sumo deadlifts, and incline bench presses, and include more isolation work to really target the specific muscle groups. Again, this all depends on your goals as well. And just like any progression, focus on linear progression, adding weight to the bar when you can complete the upper range of repetitions comfortably across all sets with good form. What about if you're advanced? Well, maximizing strength and muscle development through advanced programming needs to be considered pretty more meticulously. Trainer frequency ideally wants to be more towards 5 to 6 days per week with specialized splits that allow for focused intensity on specific muscle groups or lifts. You want to employ advanced techniques like periodization, where training phases are cycled through different focuses on strength, hypertrophy, and sometimes endurance or even power. You want to use varying rep ranges for 1 to 5 for strength phases, 8 to 15 for hypertrophy phases, and incorporating mix and match, and just incorporating a little mix of both. For the most part, in terms of the exercises, 1, do the exercises you enjoy doing. That's what I do for the most part. That'll help you adhere to it for longer, but also start really focusing on the isolation, the compounds with proper form, again, focusing on progressive overload. Advanced lifters should also focus on auto-regulation, adjusting the intensity and volume based on recovery and performance. Also, make sure you're not neglecting deload weeks to manage fatigue and prevent overall training. This is something I know I need to work on a little bit more. Make sure that you're doing those deload weeks, especially if you've hit a plateau with your strength, which will inevitably happen. It's probably time for a deload week where you back off the volume. With all my CEO and entrepreneur clients, I follow my CEO Health and Performance Blueprint 5-step system, which combines all 5 key areas. Head to the link in the description to watch the short video of exactly how I use this with my clients to get really good results. Or alternatively, if you're someone, whether you run your own business or not, who would benefit from understanding in more detail your current health and performance, you can take the Health and Performance Scorecard, which is completely free, linked in the description below, as well as my training programs to see if they are suitable for you and your goals.